Dear class, cut off once again. Technology intervening to save you from any more of my reading with commentary of Tristram Shandy. I was cut off, if you got there, in the middle of the scene in bed between Walter and Mrs. Shandy, in which she simply agrees with everything he says about the breeches into which young Tristram should be put, made of leather, appropriate to his height. We learn for the first time that Walter is actually rather a short man. And how the breeches should be equipped, with or without pockets and linings and so on and so forth, all being prescribed by Mr. Shandy, with Mrs. Shandy agreeing with everything he says, until finally she makes the terrible mistake of saying, "But if it pleases you, Mr. Shandy, then it shall be so." And he loses his temper. So you can't tell the difference between something that pleases, that would please me, and something that would be appropriate to the boy. So it is when you're married to a tyrant. Ultimately, you always fall foul of his determination that you are an insubordinate person who needs to be punished, no matter how much totally you agree with him. So that was going to be all. We missed a minute, and I was also going to have told you the story of the anecdote connecting my own life to, as Stern would be quite happy to think that I was doing, to the unfortunate accident that befell and nearly chopped off a vital piece, befell the child, nearly chopped off a vital piece of his equipment, his family jewels, but mercifully, it seems, didn't, although Dr. Slop diagnoses a phimosis, which doesn't sound very nice, a condition whereby the foreskin contracts into a sort of permanent position. It can't be retracted. But I don't really know what this means. And I'm hoping that this was not too bad for poor Tristram in the course of his life to come. But my relationship to the accident is really based on my wife's experience, which she's told me about several times, rather graphically. Her boyfriend, shortly before we met, 30 years ago, was an Irish fellow called Michael, as so many of them are. And Michael was standing at the window, as I've done myself, before an open window, curtains drawn back so you can see out there, and the sash pulled up so that air is coming in and playing across your naked body. I've been accused of exhibitionism for liking to parade naked in front of a window, but it's not because I'm hoping people will see me, but because I feel as if I'm happily not disguising myself, if that makes any sense. I suppose that's exhibitionism. And so poor Michael was indulging in a small, harmless bout of exhibitionism when the window released itself. Obviously, he'd pulled it up, but it was held up by nothing more than rust and habit. And suddenly it came roaring down like a freight train, aimed straight at what was projecting from his body over the sill. And the terrible sound and the speed of it, poor man, he fainted dead away. At least that's a happy ending, if you like. It saved him. I think the window actually stopped an inch or two above the sill, but by then he was unconscious and woke to find himself intact. Oh, the relief of it. But it's a terrible story, I guess, in particular for men. I'm sure that to women it doesn't sound like a barrel of fun either, but men who are congenitally, if that's the word I want, anxious about their private parts, so-called, which project into the world, and therefore are in perpetual danger of something happening to them. It's a frightening story, one on which no one likes to dwell. However, I am amazed to find that I've had a known of an incident like it, and Michael, who has survived very well, very happily, an artist, a potter, and we have in our house here a most magnificent amphora, the enormously tall pots that the Romans and Greeks before them used to store wine and oil and whatever you could use a very large jar for. And he made a magnificent one, black and gold, and I suppose about 3 foot high, which we have because he gave it to my wife very kindly, and we've carried it around with us all over the globe in honor of Michael the excellent potter, and also of Michael the survivor of a very close call. May you never have such a close call, dear students. I don't know that we learn anything from it, except if we survive it. We learn to thank Providence, as we should, every single day. But don't tempt Providence either, please. Don't go out there unmasked and undistanced, especially now that winter is arriving and a fresh rush of cases.